Well, this one has been long awaited. I mean, changing release dates and finally a deal to release exclusively on HBO Max the same day that it's released in theaters. And for me, for the foreseeable future, this is the only way that I would be able to check out Wonder Woman 1984. So after all the wait, is it worth the hype? It's 1984 and Wonder Woman faces off against two new foes, Lord and The Cheetah. So Gal Gadot returns as Diana Prince or Wonder Woman, and I had a blast with the first movie. And if you've seen any of the teaser trailers, you see that Chris Pine returns. How, you ask? Shouldn't he be super old? Well, the movie answers that, but I'm not going to. The setting of the 80s is nostalgically fun. I mean, the bold colors, the popped collars, headbands, leg warmers. Even one of the opening scenes takes place in a staple of the 80s, the mall. Okay, so let's not forget that this is first and foremost a superhero movie. I mean, can there be great exposition within them? Yeah, there can be, but don't always go in expecting that. I thought Gadot was good in this film. I mean, we see her going through her life, but there's still this sense of sadness or loneliness that is just encompassing her. I love the addition of Kristen Wiig. She plays Barbara Minerva, a colleague of Diana's. Wiig is excellent at the awkward and shy Minerva. That characteristic mumbling of asides under her breath that Wiig does, I mean, it fits perfectly with this character. We also get Din Djarin himself, Pedro Pascal playing Max Lord, a very greedy businessman. He's slimy, smarmy, pretty much a used car salesman turned up to 11. He's over the top a bunch of the time, but it works perfectly. He plays it up so that those characteristics don't feel out of place. They don't even feel forced. I mean, it's just like this is who he is, and he's making it work. I liked how the first portion of this movie really takes its time to set up the characters. I mean, it doesn't rush the building of them. It really helps to build this really nice picture so that we understand what motivates them. So that as characters change, as the storyline progresses, things don't feel out of place. They don't feel like they were rushed or just came out of left field because we've been able to see this progression from the beginning of the movie through the story. I enjoyed the overall story too. It has some good heart to it. There's even one point that made me tear up. There are a few parts of the story, though, that I just had to overlook and choose to go with. I mean, there's a part that deals with a person's appearance. And while we, the audience, and a character get to see one thing, we don't know how the rest of the world sees it. And maybe to address that is just an unnecessary complication, but it was something that I was wondering about. And while a lot of the special effects work, there are some scenes that they are very clearly green screened. I mean, it was actually a bit distracting. And I think some of that comes into play because they use slow-mo so often. Like, I'm okay occasionally when you use slow-mo for an effect and then you catch up to real time or that you speed it up and so that it provides a really good effect. But there were more than a few times that they were just using a slow motion technique and it didn't really add anything. And in fact, when they were using it with a green screen, it just made it stand out as fake even more. But there are other portions where the effects, they looked really good. There were some scenes that took place in the sky and in the clouds. And obviously, I know those are green screened, but they didn't stand out that way. I mean, they looked better and it was a lot of fun and just visually pleasing to look at. The movie's a 2 hours and 31 minutes long, and there are points where I did feel the time. It's not really a sluggish feeling, but it did feel like there are some scenes or some portions that maybe were a little drawn out. Like I said before, I really enjoyed Kristen Wiig's addition. And while I feel that we got a good portion with her as Barbara Minerva, the portion of her as the Cheetah felt rushed. She's so good in the role and she killed it. I wanted to see more of her in that. And so I think maybe had they cut out another scene in some other place and taken that time and given it to her as Cheetah, that would have been more satisfying. So overall, this is a fun watch. I was entertained and I enjoyed the ride, especially with Pascal and Wiig. I don't think Wonder Woman 1984 is as strong as its predecessor, but it still is a really good time at the movies. And this is playing right now in theaters that are open, but you're only going to be able to catch it on HBO Max for a limited time. I think it's 31 days total that it's playing there. So if you have the service, you want to check it out before it leaves. There's no sex or nudity, some profanity, and a bunch of violence. I give Wonder Woman 1984 4 out of 5 couches. Do you have HBO Max? Is this one that you have been looking forward to seeing? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for catching with me.